friend or foe? That's what he asked him. Unless he thought since Pnei Yeshua, Pnei Moshe, right, Pnei Levana, since maybe he felt he would continue the same, similarly to Moshe Rabbeinu. The Malach showing up says, no, you're not Moshe Rabbeinu. Okay, we're holding over here many statements named Rabbi Lozer. Omer Rabbi Lozer, Kol she'ein mishayir pasal shulchano. A person who doesn't leave bread on his table, ein rosim in brocha lolam. A person will not say sim in brocha. Right? When we bench, you always have bread on the table. That's a sim in brocha. Really, you leave bread because the Gemara says in brochos that if 4 people come, there's always some food on the table. One second. Rashi says, Kol she'ein mishayir psisin. See, this is Rabbi Lozer. Kol she'ein mishayir pas. We're not talking psisin means small pieces. Kol she'ein mishayir pas al shulchano ein rosim brocha li'olam. Shenemar ein sored lo'ochlo. There's nothing left to eat. Al kein lo yochil tuvo. Therefore, the good will not come. You're not permitted to leave bread on the table. It says one who leaves pieces of bread on his table is like you're an idolater. Shenemar, ha'orchim la'agat shulchan v'malim l'moni memasech, meaning it would be like it was like you designate bread, you're leaving it over. Why did you leave it over? You could have eaten it. It's like you're leaving it over for some power. So it's just the opposite. He says, if you have a whole loaf, what do you need to cut pieces? But if you don't, then it's okay to leave over for pieces. So if you have the full loaf, you're leaving over the pieces. Why? Because that's an indication you're leaving it over for some power. But otherwise, you're leaving it over, there should be bread when you bench, Rashi says. There's a deity called Gad. Nesuchim, they fill up cups filled with wine that's been flavored. Lavodazora shishma moni. So my answer is Hodekamer also diko shleim badei shemevi shlemo la'acha she'ochal. He puts a full loaf of bread on the table after he eats. V'nosin al shlemo im hapsisim. So there are 2 things on the table. There's the full loaf and you have to cut pieces. So if you have the full loaf, which is sim bracha, what do you need the pieces? The answer is that's for the avodah zarah. It appears he's leaving it for avodah zarah. The cut pieces. One second. No. It could be pieces. It could be pieces. But if you have a full loaf, then there shouldn't be. You could have one or the other. But both, what do you have both? If you have one, what do you need the other? This is for benching. So usually, after you take it off the table. You take the, right? Take it off the table. One second. One second. So over here he says, the Rashi, hear this? What's the reason? Exactly what he said. Why, if you leave pieces of bread on the table? He says, because if a poor man should walk out in, he has what to eat. That's the reason why he's rosim in brocha. But if you don't leave bread on the table, so you say, you came too late. So when the poor man comes in, you have nothing to give him. So you should always have something on the table. Have in mind, you have somebody else in mind besides yourself. So that's the reason why you will see simin bracha. Person who does not keep his word. You say one thing, then you retract. You're like an idolater. Right? We find by Yaakov, when Rivka told him to impersonate Esau, he says, I will appear as a Mesateya. What is Mesateya? It doesn't mean just a liar. Right? He's deceiving. Yitzchak should find out. He says, I'm not a hairy person. My brother is a hairy person. So I'll be found out to be a masateya, a deceiver. But we'll see, the word sateya means idolater. Hakol hemo masatatuim hevel hemo. The actions are nothing, vain, masatatuim, acts of idolatry. Rashi, Matlibur mishana bidiburo shlo ye nicker. Hear what he says. It doesn't mean you're retracting. You impersonate, you change your voice that it shouldn't be obvious from what you're saying. So it can also be deceiving. Deceiving. Vomer ablozo kol mistakel be'ervo kashto nineris. Yeah, Rashi says. What does that mean? You know, there's certain things based on modesty that you shouldn't look at certain, even though your wife is permitted to you, but to gaze upon the private place of a woman, it's something which is inappropriate. So if a person gazes on that, it has a negative consequence. What's the negative consequence? Kashrun nineris. So Rashi says, what does that mean? Koach koshi yever shelo nina shenu molid. Meaning the ability to achieve an erection. The person will lose that. Shenemar, erio tor kashtecho. Erio shtomistakel, bo mamish bervoso. Eri means the private place of the woman. If you gaze upon it, he tor kashtecho. It will empty your quiver, your bow, your keshes. The word koshi. I never thought about it. A keshes is a bow. Why is a bow called a bow? It comes from the word kosher, right? Because, I mean, you could say maybe because it looks like a rainbow, right? Keshes is a rainbow too. But you can't shoot an arrow unless it's taut, right? If the string, the more taut it is, the farther the arrow is going to go. But if the string is not taut, so it's keshes, it's kosher. The keshes he's referring to is the hardness of the male organ. That if you look at the private place of the woman, that hardness will be lost. That he should not be able to impregnate. Doesn't mean mistako doesn't mean visually. It means a person, his minds are consumed, think about other women, married women, not your own wife. Kashto gvuras yodo nineris misalech me'etis. Ultimately, your virility will wane. Kamo motza ksusa menaro. Achas l'shloshim yom. The Gemara says in Bava Metzia that if you find a lost article, the finder, he's a shomer, he's a custodian, he has an obligation to take care of it. So you find a garment, every 30 days you have to air it out. And you have to shake it, you know, to air it out. Otherwise it gets moldy. The inami, kamo v'yinar Hashem. That's by Kriyas Yamsuf. Okay, let's see Hilchos Chanukah. Things are good. Baruch Hashem. Monday we're closed here. No, this time even click offices are closed. Yeah. Yeah. They said Abraham has to take his kids on vacation, so I'm closing up.